or the golden parakeet. Who was that? Ginger. Of course it was Ginger. Ginger just turned my microphone off. Oh, come on. Turn my mic off. You're so naughty. Yes, you are. Hey, get off my neck. Oh, disaster. Hello, and welcome back to another Species Spotlight. Today we're going to be talking about a bird that you may not have seen before, and that is the golden conure. Very, very lucky to have two of them here joining me today, Sugar and Ginger, both ladies. So yeah, we're going to talk about what's going on with the golden conure in the wild. Then we're going to talk about why these guys command such a high price tag and why are they so hard to get hold of. And then we're going to talk about them as pets, because they do make amazing pets, even when they're not destroying your equipment. Right, so I'm going to try and keep them out. Let's roll the intro and get into it. This is a total nightmare, but I'm going to keep them out because I know you guys want to see them and not me. Quite rightly so. Right, so the golden conure, aka the Queen of Bavaria conure, aka the golden parakeet. They have lots of aliases. Where are they from? These guys are endemic to Brazil, so they're only found in Brazil. And they like to hang out in the lowland rainforests of the Amazon basin. With the largest population of around 500 individuals found around Tapajo. I hope I've pronounced that right. But yes, so very sadly, they were put on the endangered species list in 1975. And they are classed as vulnerable to extinction, which is really sad. And what's contributed to that? As you probably would have already guessed, habitat destruction is the biggest one. So obviously agricultural expansion, logging, infrastructure development in Brazil, that has all played a massive part in their demise, sadly. Next would be the illegal pet trade. Obviously they're super colourful. Where are they? 2 secs. Oh, they're just winding their brother up, Chili. That's okay. Yes, so where was I? What was I talking about? Yes, because they're so colourful, they're such beautiful animals, and they make amazing pets. They are also, huge targets for the illegal pet trade, which is very, very sad indeed. Obviously, being protected, it is completely illegal to purchase a wild-caught golden conure, and they are actually CITES listed Appendix 1 as well, so they do have the sort of highest level of restrictions on their trade, as you will, which is good, and that goes across the world as well. So next thing would be the climate change. Actually, that's a slightly different and, in my opinion, a bit more of an interesting one. They have found, obviously, in Brazil, they are suffering from the effects of climate change as well. So their droughts go on for longer. The forest fires are more prevalent. The weather extremes are just, they're just destroying these guys' sort of nesting sites when they're going to nest, which is less than ideal. So they've got it coming from all angles. These poor, beautiful little babies. Not you two. You live the life of luxury. Yes. Okay, so why? I mean, you've probably already guessed, but let's talk about why these guys are so rare and they are so expensive as well. So obviously what we just talked about, the legal protection and the restrictions put upon them, which is great. There's not that many of them about because it's very controlled, the trade of them worldwide. And then captive breeding challenges would be the next point. They're not easy to breed. So they're communal breeders, which means that the colony raise the chicks. There will be a number of females in the flock that will contribute, and then the rest of the flock will basically a combined effort of raising the chicks and trying to replicate that along with obviously the temperature, the humidity, everything that you need, and the enclosures that you need to create in order to make them feel comfortable. They are, it's very, very hard. And then it's a huge investment because then what you need to do, you need to buy probably at least 3 of these guys. And then they need to be compatible. You could buy a pair and they might not like each other. They might not breed ever. So that contributes to it as well. And also, they only become sexually mature when they're 3 to 5 years old. Again, depending on the gender. So that makes it incredibly hard as well, because then your investment, say you spend X amount of thousands of pounds on a pair, a young pair, then you have to wait 3 to 5 years to see if they like each other, and so on and so on. And then you also have to make sure that you've created the right environment for them. It's absolutely impossible. It's very hard to breed them. Okay, and then the next thing is the high demand. So obviously, parrot keepers collectors of rare parrots tend to have very deep pockets. And if they want them and they're willing to pay that price, then that puts the price up as well. The main thing is supply and demand, obviously. There's not very many of them around, and because there's not very many breeders around, and that will always hike the price up. So yeah, that's a little bit of information as to why these are so hard to get hold of. And displaying how lucky I am to be in the presence of 2 of them, even if they are slightly annoying. I'm joking, they're amazing. Right, so what are they like as pets? Well, in my opinion, the price tag is totally worth the bird that you get. They are absolute characters. They're full of energy, they're little clowns, and they're super tame. Obviously, if they've been handled correctly and raised like that, they are just super tame. You can literally do anything that you want to them, and they're not fussed. They really aren't. These guys are incredible pets. They're a little bit sassy, the ladies, but yeah, no, they're amazing. In terms of their personality, they're super intelligent, they're super active, and they're just bundles of fun. So social needs, as I mentioned, they are incredibly social creatures. So that is why these 2 are a pair. It's because they keep each other company, which is absolutely lovely. They've also got a little Hans McCaw as their adopted brother, Chili. But yes, so they are incredibly social. They're found in flocks and they stay in flocks throughout their entire life. They're not like some species of parrot when they breed, they chuck the pairs out because they get too aggressive and things like that. No, they all chip in, and like I said earlier, they all contribute to raising the chicks, which goes in part to why they're such gentle, social animals. They're not like, for example, the Pioneus Maverick, who we did a video on last time. The Pioneus will be kicked out of the flock. When they pair up and breeding season kicks in, they'll be kicked out of the flock because they become so aggressive. And sadly, in some cases, they get so aggressive that they can kill each other. But not these guys. So that's why they've got lovely temperaments, and they're just, super cuddly and super friendly, but they need a lot of attention. They want to be with you all the time. I mean, apart from going over to see their brother, they've just been on me this whole time during this video. Okay, so diet and nutrition. All right, this is super important. It's always super important. But to keep these guys in good health and make sure that they live a long life, then they do need a very well-balanced diet. Should be made up of a high-quality pellet, obviously, chopped fruit and veg, mainly veg for me. They do actually require a bit more fruit, so I'd probably feed these guys fruit 3 or 4 times a week, as opposed to the 2 times I feed the other birds. Right, and also seeds and nuts as well, but in moderation, in measured doses on a daily basis as well. Because they're so active, they do, oh my God, you're going to fall, guys. Because they're so active, they do burn off a lot of energy, so it's not so bad to be giving them those slightly higher fat seeds and nuts. Again, everything's in moderation. Housing requirements. Okay, so the biggest cage that you can possibly get for them. Cage size is almost irrelevant in my opinion, just because you should always be buying, you should always be having them out a lot, like pretty much as much as you possibly can. So they're not going to be in their cage that much. But buy them an indoor aviary if you have the space and fill it with toys, because they are incredibly intelligent and they can get bored very, very easily. So they need their mind stimulated. Puzzle toys, foraging toys, all of that good stuff. All right, darling. Tummy kisses. Got her. Right, next one is, let's talk about vocalization. They are loud as. They are super loud. They're not as loud as a sun conure, but they're certainly up there. But yes, if you're not in a position to have a bird that can scream the house down, then don't get a bird, is my best advice. Get a guinea pig, they're pretty cool. Right, and then lifespan and health. They are relatively long-lived in captivity, anywhere from 20 to 30 years, when looked after properly. So given the correct diet, regular vet checks, I'd say at least once a year, they should be going to the vet. And then it would be really good, because they're so, and this is the beautiful thing, because they're so chilled and laid back, the vet will be able to inspect them really easily. And I do think once a year you should be drawing blood from them as well, so that you can check all those sort of micro levels, as I like to call them. So calcium, iron, and all of that in their blood, just to make sure that there's nothing going on and that you don't need to amend their diet. But yeah, 20 to 30 years of absolute joys, bundles of joy. You really want to be upside down in my hand, don't you? Yes, you do. But yes, they're amazing. So in conclusion, they're rare, they're expensive, but they're worth it. I'll leave it at that. That was a cool ending. Right, I hope you have a fantastic afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it is where you are. And I will see you on the next episode. Take it easy.